All right, welcome back to the program. In case you're just joining us, it's time for our conversation right now. Auwal Musa Rafsanjani, Executive Director, Civil Society Legislative Advocacy Center, CISLAC, the Head of Transparency International Nigeria, the Chairman, Board of Trustees, Amnesty International, is joining me right here. Mr. Rafsanjani, good to have you. It's been quite a while.
Yeah.
Welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Now, let's get started. To what the government said and all of that. I'm particularly interested in knowing how the Transparency International arrived at its conclusions, what are the methodologies, and, you know, what are your sources?
Thank you very much.
Arriving
yes.
at
yes.
your index and your report.
Thank you very much. So as we always try to explain, Transparency International does not carry out this survey. We always rely on, globally accepted and respected institutions that carry out, their annual reports. And interestingly, some of these groups, Nigeria are actually a member of these groups. For example, Nigeria is a member of the World Bank. And World Bank, country policy and institutional assessment carry out report, in Nigeria to see the level of corruption and financial, management. Also, Nigeria is a member of the World Economic Forum Executive Opinion Survey. Now, they also carry out survey, and their survey is part of what Transparency International also used to compute this. Also, other sources include World Justice Project Rule of Law. We also have, varieties of democracy projects, as well as Global Insight Country Risk Assessment. These are various, sources that Transparency International gather and compute them, and then rank them based on the reports and based on the specific questions around the issues of bribery, issues of diversion of public, funds, issues of also prevalence of official corruption, also using official capacity for private gain, also the ability or inability of government to contain, corrupt practices, and then also lack of enabling space for whistleblowers to expose corruption. These are all, the manifestation that the report, gather to get. So if you don't have effective criminal prosecution for corrupt official, definitely, this will really, have implication for the rating. If you don't have adequate laws on financial disclosure and conflict of interest, this will also have a problem. You remember we are still battling with our code of conduct, bureau, people who just come to make an anticipatory declaration of asset. Even the agency itself is incapacitated to be able to verify the number of assets that some people write in their declaration form. So these all are issues that this thing looked at, and then when you look at how the public encounter corruption, for example, if you are looking for any job in government now, you have to pay. If you don't pay, you cannot get that job. If you are due for promotion, you will not get that promotion on merit. You have to pay bribe. If you have entitlement after you have served, you are looking for your pension and gratuity, you have to pay bribe. Sadly, even those officers who die in the course of the nation, saving the nation, when their family, they go to get their entitlement, they don't give them, they have to pay bribe. If you are looking for passport, international passport, you have to pay bribe. If you want to get driving license, you have to pay bribe. To get admission in the higher learning, you have to pay bribe. These are things that Nigerians are facing. And more importantly, ICPC just recently conducted a survey to show the prevalence of corruption and how some even allegedly members of the National Assembly diverted billions of money that is called a constituency project. Not only that, government agency, again, National Bureau of Statistics, in collaboration with the UNODC, conducted report to show how prevalent corruption is. And in fact, they even rank police as the most corrupt institution in the country.
That report was for 2019, and I think they've done 2 surveys.
Yeah, so what I'm saying, last year there was the one, the latest one of last year,
Okay, 2020.
So, yeah, 2020. So what I'm trying to say is that you do not need Transparency International to tell you that there are problem of corruption in Nigeria. And the reason why we are, interested to see that Nigerian government address this problem is because you remember, Transparency International and British government, we organized International Anti-Corruption Conference in London in 2016. And Muhammadu Buhari was invited. And he went there, made some commitment to ensure that, transparency, is really key in his agenda as he rightly campaign and tell the whole world. So Transparency International has been following up and monitoring with those commitments, like, for example, the beneficial ownership, of course, some of it, have been, made, like the open government partnership, but quite a number of them, they are still there. And when you look at our public procurement law, where corruption is actually the driver, it is still plotted. For example, the council is not inaugurated. 5 years after the present government had come to office, the public procurement law is not being in place. You have freedom of information law. It's been disregarded. Many government institutions, they don't, respond to the freedom of information query. Auditor General of the Federation, carry out audit report to show how government agencies are not actually even carrying out, audit, or they've never even submitted audit, and even those ones that submitted, they refuse to respond to the query given to them. And these are a lot of examples that I can tell you. So Transparency International, CISLAC, civil society groups in Nigeria are interested to support government to overcome the challenges that we have, because it's our country. The image of Nigeria is terribly bad. So if people who believe that they are government spokesperson and they will come and provoke Nigerians by saying that this report is not accurate, is not okay.
Yeah, I was coming to that.
Had conducted this, and recently, look at what they have done to Magu. They accuse him of not accounting for the property, or for the asset recovered. So, which means that, if you are saying all this, and now you are coming back to deny this, and more importantly, look at it. In 2016, Transparency International ranking on Nigeria was good, and government was clapping. They were happy. But when we noted that there are problems, look at all the proofs going on in the National Assembly of corruption, from Akpabio versus Minister of Justice, Akpabio again, with all sorts of people in NDDC. And NDDC. Look at the COVID-19 diversion that had happened, and for anybody who love the Nigerian people, who love Nigerian government, who love Buhari, to come and say that because he's a spokesperson of the president or he's working as a minister, to come and say that this is not a representative of what Nigerians are going through, I think you are actually undermining even the president. And I think by the time the president realizes that those who he give the responsibility to help him oversee the government, they are actually undermining him. And again, look at it. Nigeria, can these people really say that all the 774 local government, everything is going well? All the 36 states in the federation, everything is going well. Even here in Abuja, judicial corruption is there. The National Assembly, a lot of allegation. In fact, even Serap, actually took National Assembly to court to explain 4.4 billion that they are not being able to account for. There are so many numerous cases that we are working out every day.
Okay, Mr. Rafsanjani, let me just hold you there. And since you talked about the government saying it kicked against the report, saying is biased against it, the government also said that this report is inaccurate, that the report did not reflect the giant strides by the country to fight against corruption. This president campaigned on 3 pillars, 3 strong pillars. Fighting corruption, a lot of people said they voted him in because he stood, or he is a symbol against corruption. So fighting corruption, steering the economy in a very good light, which the economy is in a recession. What's the third one? Security right now. So much insecurity in the country. So based on that, the government saying that you didn't take into cognizance the great strides that the government is is doing. EFCC is prosecuting a lot of people. Some people are in jail already. ICPC is doing its own bit.
I think, you know...
There's a TSA there.
Yes. If people understand, if the spokesperson of the government understand what this report is all about, then they would have saved themselves from further embarrassing themselves. This report is not assessing the President Muhammadu Buhari. It's not assessing the Nigerian government. It's not assessing the work of the EFCC or ICPC or Code of Conduct or even the police. No, it is looking at public institutions, corruption in public institutions. And that's why you do not see private sector. You do not see the citizen, you know, because the report is just focusing on public sector, okay? So, and it's not an assessment of the government. Every year we do this. And let me tell you, this report is being done, this survey is done in over 183 countries. Now, only Nigeria officials are jumping and coming to dismiss and abuse people. As I speak to you, America on this report we issued had come down. Britain have come down. Some European countries have come down. They did not call us name. They did not abuse us. They did not threaten us. They only say, okay, please, can you help us? Let's see how we can address the gaps in our specific context. Nigerian government never bothered to say, okay, how do we do this? How do we address this?
So since the report came out, no engagement.
No engagement, except abuses and dismissal and threat. That's what we see from Nigeria. And this is our country. We have responsibility, we have moral obligation to ensure that things are done right. Whether they like it or not, we must advocate and insist that right thing is done because it affects me and you and them. When you go out of this country, you are already a suspect. They see you as a money launderer, they see you as a criminal, they see you all sorts of damaging names. So this, what Transparency International is doing is just to wake you up. Where you have lacuna in your legal and policy framework, address it. For example, we've been telling government, let us have a whistleblower, protection regime, because there's no way you can successfully fight corruption if you don't have whistleblower protection mechanism. Secondly, you have been recovering assets, locally and internationally. No data is available to show how many jewelries, gold, cars, estate, houses, dollars and pounds and naira that you have confiscated. Nobody can give you information about that because you have...
Even from the EFCC?
Nobody.
Because I thought there was a time that EFCC collated, this is how much, I think during the Magu time, some years ago.
No, there's no any comprehensive data on all those recoveries as I speak to you because police collect it, custom collect, NLDA collect
NDLEA.
NDLEA, and even Code of Conduct. All of them are collecting, no synergy, no coordination. So there's no any system that will even ensure more transparency in the management of recovered assets. That is why we have been pushing for government to have, assets recovery, legal framework that will ensure more transparency and accountability on the use of even the recovered asset. So the way it is now, yesterday looters have looted. Today looters are collecting it back and relooting it again. That's exactly. Otherwise, I challenge them, let them give us comprehensive data of all the money, all the Zani and all the people that they've collected their money. Where are they? The gold, the jewelries. At least I was interviewed by Al Jazeera at that time when those things were done. Where are the jewelries? Where are the golds? Where are the cash they collected in our house? And numerous number of Nigerians who have stolen money and either EFCC or ICPC or police collected them. Where are they? Where are the records? Who have taken them? Let them give us comprehensive data. Look, we are very, patriotic Nigerians who are interested in this country to function. And we will support government at all levels to ensure that things are done rightly. We are not politicians. We are not into opposition. We want our country to work because we have a stake. We have no any other country than this country. And we cannot allow some few people who are benefiting from corruption to demoralize us from doing that, because even God will not forgive us if we keep quiet. Because maybe, okay, let's say, take for example, Buhari is a Muslim, is from the north, and even though I'm not planning, I'm a Hausa, but at least he's a Muslim and he's from the north. So I will keep quiet. I will see injustice and keep quiet. I'm not helping the President Buhari. Rather, I'm undermining him because he may not know the corruption going on in some places. That's why he had aides, he had assistants, he has ministers. Unfortunately, many of them, they don't even believe in him. They don't believe even in the fight against corruption. If they believe, why should you have ministers exchanging views, saying that they have bribed one minister or the other, and they are still sitting. They are still there. So I think every Nigerian has a responsibility to support the sincere effort of government to ensure that we flush out corruption from our country. Or else, if you keep quiet, you are not doing fair to yourself, and you are not even helping the president. So it is not about party. We are not politicians. I don't have business with any politician in this country. I am interested in working with anybody, whether stakeholder, whether non-state actor or state actor, to ensure that we fix our problem. And we are doing it all over the world. Even African countries, they don't attack us, they don't abuse us. Only some people who are benefiting from corrupt system in Nigeria that will come when Nigerians are facing this corruption every day. The whole NSAS was triggered because of the extortion and corruption in the police, even though we also advocated in the new Police Act, Amendment Act, to ensure that CR unit is established in the 36 states, and they are doing very well. We have been working with them to ensure that Nigerians send their complaints whenever they experience corruption or extortion. They are doing very well. We are supporting them. We work with EFCC. We work with ICPC. So we are not anti-government. We want our country to work. But those spokespersons of government who benefit from this corruption, who think that by doing what they are doing favor to the president or to the government, they are actually undermining government because Nigerians are laughing at them. They know they experience this. Okay. Just work out. You see what will happen to you.
Okay. Let's take what we did on the show. We've been able to get Nigeria's ranking, the corruption index, from 1996. In fact, and guys, I would appreciate if we can put that on the screen so that we take a look at, the trajectory of how we got here. Our current score is 149, isn't it? Our current score 149 from 146. Yes. From what I saw, really, this 149 is the worst so far in terms of ranking. The last, okay, no, it's not really the worst. We got to 152 in 2005. So this is the second worst that we have been in terms of ranking. We were in 2005 152. We were 147 in 2007. Now we are 149. We were 148 in 2017. How have we gotten to this level? Looking at the fact that in 1996, Nigeria's score was just 54. Yes, that's it on the screen.
Yes.
54, and our index was 7. 7 over 100. 0 means very clean or highly clean, or very clean rather. But as you go to what's 100, that means you are very corrupt. So at what point, how have we gotten to this level? Let's take a look at even from 1999 that we became a democracy. 1999 we were 98th with 16 over 100. From 1999 till now, how many years of democracy now? From 1999 till 2021. So you've seen that Nigeria has we've graduated to being a corrupt nation.
Yes. So with this attitude of dismissal of the obvious and unnecessary, display of impunity and arrogance and refusal to comply with law that you even have, there's no way, Nancy, your rating will change. In fact, even when you look at the way and manner in which the civil space is also emasculated, there's no way your rating will go well. If you look at the judicial corruption in this country, access to justice, there's no way Nigerians can tell you that they are happy with what is going on. In the National Assembly, if you are appointed, if the president sent lists for confirmation, be rest assured that with all the allegation that has been said, if you do not pay money, you may not necessarily be confirmed. It has happened. Even El Rufai, when he wanted to be a minister in the past, you remember, there's that tradition, and it hasn't changed. And you expected a government that is fighting corruption, that actually takes corruption as its centerpiece, to ensure that those practices are eradicated. But they have not gone. In fact, go and investigate. Even to become a chair committee in the National Assembly, you have to compromise. Look at the number of people coming to National Assembly. When they are being proved for corruption, they paint. They go to court, they will paint. I mean, how do you think the world is watching at you? How do you think your rating will go? And you refuse to also, put in place those, areas that you can block leakages, you have refused to also, take, effort to ensure that all those leakages are addressed, and you expect your rating to change. No, it will not change. The thing is that if Nigerian government is willing and interested, because there's difference between propaganda, and campaign with actual putting in place mechanism that can actually help you deal with corruption. For example, I expected if the president, since he wants to fight corruption, I expected him to say, look, governors, although we have limitations, we are practicing federalism. This government, cardinal objective is to fight corruption. I want you to join me in the crusade to ensure that you have the necessary legal framework and policy framework at your state to fight corruption. Nobody is doing that. In fact, the only state that is close to that is Kano, where you have public complaint, and anti-corruption in the state. All the other states, they have not put in place such kind of thing. Nancy, how do you think, things will change when corruption is normal in various state and local government and with impunity? And people, even when you are investigated of corruption, they will drop the charges if you change the party. In fact, you remember even Adam, the former APC chairman, he said, whatever you commit, come to our party, you are forgiven. And they have demonstrated that. So how do you think people will rate you better with all those things? I think we should wake up. We are happy to continue to support our government because we are not interested to destabilize the country or the government. We want to support the government to do the right thing. And we've been doing that. You can confirm from various government agencies, we work with them to support them. But each time this thing comes out, instead of government to say, look, let's have a look at what these problems are. Let us address it. For example, we talk about, unaccountability, lack of accountability in the management of the COVID funds. We borrowed 3.4 billion from IMF. Where is the report? The Auditor General up to now has not give or published the spending on the COVID-19. And you think your rating will go when speculation is already going that people have embezzled money, state diverted, palliative to their own personal thing. And we have seen how young people who are hungry, they have to go to warehouses to get this food. And some of the people who have stolen and diverted this, they say they will use it for their birthday. You think your rate will change? That is not possible. You are joking. Look at how corruption is happening in the oil and gas sector. We have been telling the president, please, let's have reform in the oil and gas sector. PIB is there. It is still not being, passed. You have, electoral, act that will ensure electoral transparency in the country. It is still not there. 5 years after president, had come. So when you say you have experienced electoral fraud and corruption, and God help you to be there, I thought the first priority you would do is to ensure that you stop the corruption in the electoral system. But we did not have that. Look, I think that if you have honest and sincere, assistant working with the president, they will push. And
are there some steps that you're seeing genuinely that are being taken by government
I think
to fight corruption?
Yes,
are there some steps?
I think there are steps. In principle, the president believes in it, but he needs, support of the ministers, the assistant that he has, and all of them, the governors, the local government chairman, and all the public officials and Nigerians. He needs the support of everybody to be able to do that because it's not a one-man business. It is a collective responsibility. And we, at the level of civil society, we've been supporting government. We advocated for the passage of various laws and policies that will help, minimize corruption in the country. We have also, advocated for having a national strategic plan to fight corruption. That document has not been operationalized. If that document is operationalized at state and local government level, at whatever level you find yourself, whether you are a media, whether you are a mechanic, whether you are a police, whether you are whatever this is, you will be able to contribute. But when all those things are not happening, look at the security sector, the corruption in the security sector that has led to the compromise in the entire security architecture in the country. Kidnapping, for ransom is rampant in every part of the country now. Banditry is going on, and all sorts of things. Like I said, the extortion from the police that led to the NSAS thing, even though a lot of efforts have been put in place, which we appreciate. So we want to see agencies, when they say there's a problem in the judiciary of corruption. We want to see effort from the judiciary, to address that problem.
But why is Transparency International also looking at, or perhaps since you say you're working with the government, is there a way you can actually look at the root cause of why public officials are corrupt? Because when we also talk about corruption, we shouldn't isolate it. Nigeria, for example, Nigeria is not, for example, because that's what we are right now, is the world's poverty capital.
Courtesy of corruption.
Yes, you can actually, you have an argument there that perhaps corruption is also part of why Nigeria is the poorest country in the world. But is there a way that the root cause of corruption can be addressed? If you take a look at the minimum wage, for example, it's 30,000 naira. If you take a look at these judicial officers, how much do they take home? How much does an average policeman takes home? So are there some ways that the government can be more engaged?
Yes. So this is what we have been suggesting to government.
I'm not advocating that those people should be corrupt because of they are not earning enough.
We talk about addressing the issues of nepotism, and the appointments, in civil service, and also adhering to the merits, and also principle of federal character, because we all agree that the country is diverse, is so big that you need to carry everybody on board. But if you are not complying with that, then you make job to be for the rich people. Like go to CVN, for example, or NNPC, or any of these lucrative places. You cannot, as a child of a poor person, despite your brain, despite your qualification, you cannot be there. Go and see whose children are there. It is their children. Because the poor people, they don't have money to bribe, to pay. Look, in this Abuja, go and investigate. They are selling job offer. In this Abuja, you can never be promoted, in the offices unless you have done certain things that are not, supposed to be done. Look, if you address the corruption in the bureaucracy, you address the corruption in the civil service, you also ensure the welfare.
How do we address it?
You can. It is possible.
Because it seems
you do
that
it.
It seems that governments have not been. It's not
even.
It's even before this administration.
Because
if you take a look at all the ranking, all the ranking we've done it from 1996 till now. Since we even entered democracy from 2000 and 1999, you see steadily we are just dropping. So why is it difficult to address? And how should we address it?
Vested interest of some people who are benefiting from the system are making it impossible. For example, those who are into electoral politics, when they want to join, politics, to pay for the form to contest, you have to pay heavily, millions. And that is where the corruption started, because when you compromise, when the political parties is for sale, is commercialized and privatized, it's only for those who have enough looted money to go into the politics. Then you would have lost out those quality people who did not have stolen money to go in there, or who did not have godfathers. Okay, so if you address, the electoral, system, you also address the political party system. At least those who are going to come under, election. Okay, those who will eventually become, governors, president, vice president, deputy governors, local government. At least you will have sanitized how the process is, okay? Now, as for those who will come to be appointed by either the president or by the governor, if they adhere to the code of conduct, we would have known how much they have. Some of them, they do anticipatory declaration. So maybe they have 2 million after they got elected. Now they will come and declare 20 billion. So that by the time they finish, they will have stolen enough to justify that they didn't steal government money. And because of the inability of the code of conduct to investigate the claim, because they are incapacitated, probably they are not more than 20. Those ones that are investigating asset declaration of public office in Nigeria. So, and they are dealing with thousands or hundreds of people who submit this form. They don't even do the regular, evaluation and updating of their asset. That's how, corruption can also go in there. So what I'm saying is that if this government that they came to fight corruption, if they sit down to say, look, after we make all this declaration, let's look at how we can block corruption in the civil service and bureaucracy by also ensuring that we have people, decent people that we can appoint as our other.
Is it about decency or is it about the institutions, making the institutions work?
Yes, that is
because it seems, for example, President Buhari,
what I mean,
people say he's a decent man, he's a man that is patriotic, he's against corruption, but it's not about the personality of the president.
Absolutely,
it's about
absolutely.
the institutions.
I agree with you, but the people that you will also nominate to go there should not be people with the corruption baggage, corruption burden. No. If you nominate a minister, if you put a minister who is already corrupt, who you even try him before, but simply because he has moved to your party, then that's already, compromising. So in addition to strengthening the institution, you need to also look at people with impeccable character, people that you can actually say, look, even if I am sleeping, I can really bunch on this person integrity.
Okay, since we're talking about people, should we say that most Nigerians are corrupt? I don't want to say every Nigerian. Most Nigerians corrupt? Because if you have to give a bribe, somebody has to give and someone has to take. So are most Nigerians corrupt? You see, like, let's say a traffic warden stops you on the road, that you've committed a traffic offense. The first thing that comes to perhaps an average Nigerian is like, make I give this policeman something so that I can go. Or, just like you said, I want to go get my driver's license, I want to get something from a ministry or so. The person is thinking, how should I make it easier for myself? Can I pay my way to get what I want? So, isn't it also thriving on Nigerians, our psyche, to get things done faster and quicker and cheaper?
Nancy, if you have a country that follows rule of law, if you have a country that ensures sanction, there's a way you can curtail this. And one of the major challenges is lack of public education even on the anti-corruption work. Because some Nigerians, genuinely, truly, they may not be able to know what they are committing is an offense. But if they are fully educated through radio, through television, through newspaper, through town hall meeting, to tell them, look, if you do this, you go to jail. I can tell you that people would, okay, now, as the government has imposed face mark, okay? If you come out without it, you know that there is a repercussion. That is resonating in anybody's head now. In this Abuja, if you come out, the tax force will cut you. If we can do that for corruption, I am telling you, you will have been able to sanitize the system. If the policeman or any security man or any government person say, you have to do something, if you know give, if he knows that if you report him or her, he may likely or she may not like, she is likely going to lose her job. She will sit up. So, but there's no sanction. We just go like this. So I would rather say that what we need to do is to invest in public education. Let people know the consequences of the action they are doing. And when they do things that is not in accordance with the law, there will be penalty, there will be sanction. Okay. I will tell you that a lot of Nigerians will stop that. But again, let me also tell you, there are two categories of corruption. You have mega corruption, you have this petty corruption. The mega corruption is the one that touches millions of people's lives. If you divert the money that is meant for equipping the hospital or for equipping the education, school, you have deprived many people, or money for water or infrastructure, what they are actually doing. So they are touching, and punishing millions of Nigerians. The third tendency, they carry this money and go and put it where they don't even have access to taking the money. Okay,
I think we'll leave it at that. Thank you very much for coming on today's edition of the program. I've been speaking with Auwal Musa Rafsanjani, the Executive Director, Civil Society Legislative Advocacy Center. He's the head, Transparency International Nigeria, the Chairman, Board of Trustees, Amnesty International. We've been looking at Nigeria's ranking with the recent Corruption Perception Index, and of course he's been explaining how Nigeria got that ranking. Thank you all for being a part of the show today. I am Nancy Nnaji. Be the best you can be, but the change you want to see. Don't forget to wear a mask. I'll see you all tomorrow. Bye now. Thank you for watching our video. Please hit the subscribe button below, turn on post notification to follow all our updates.